Welcome to the Cacophony of Creatives. We're going to go ahead and get started. So for those of you that have not been here before, the Greeley Creative District is the host of these events, and what we aim to do with these is to provide an opportunity for some skill building and networking with other creatives. And so we are pleased that you're here today. We think the program will be exceptional. My name is Becky Safrick. I have the pleasure of being the board president for the Greeley Creative District. And we have several board members here, and I'll just kind of point to you if you can raise your hand. We've got Megan, and we've got Ellie Downey, who's also working with our group as an intern, Sandy, and we've got, I'm looking at Jason and Dana in the back, our staff, and then Sue up front is a former board member. Becca is our new executive director. Glad to have her. She'll be starting on Monday, so we're giving her a deep dive in, jump with both feet. So today, you really are going to be amazed at the presentation that we have for you. It's exceptional. We are taping it as well. It'll be posted on our website, and we'll be doing a summary of it so people that weren't able to join us today can get the benefit of that. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Lori Gama, and Lori is going to introduce her program today and get started. There's a lot, it's dense and got a lot of information, so we want to give her plenty of time to chat through that. So, Lori.
Thank you, Becky. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. Hope I don't talk too loud with the microphone. So, throughout history, a few innovations have changed our world forever. The printing press gave us mass knowledge. The first industrial revolution changed how we work. And after the printing press, that gave a surge to the Renaissance, by the way. First industrial revolution changed how we work, and the internet gave us instant connection. And now AI is the new frontier, and you have the opportunity to be a part of it. Welcome to the AI frontier. Yay. In today's presentation, you're going to learn a framework, but let me tell you a little bit more about myself. So I'm Lori Gama, and I own a business, a digital marketing and AI agency. Been in business for 30 years here in Greeley. Originally came to Greeley to go to UNC and just stayed ever since. Fast forward to 1993, I fell in love with the internet. And by 1995, I had started my one-woman web design shop as a side hustle before the word side hustle was invented. And then in 1998, when Google launched, I saw it as the yellow pages of the 21st century. You guys are too young to remember or know what the yellow pages was like. But I told people, Google's going to be the yellow pages of the 21st century, and I can get you found. And they would just burst out laughing. But I built my business on SEO. I was able to break my family out of the cycle of poverty, create wealth, be a contributing citizen to my community. I've sat on 2 boards. I just exited off the United Way board of directors after 6 years, and I'm on the Greeley Area Chamber Board of Directors. And I just love Greeley. It's a great community. It's very special. Let me give you a timeline of why, with the punchline being AI, why I firmly believe AI is it. So I'm what you call a pattern finder. And I've been able to be successful, I think, because I have been able to recognize when technology is going to be really big for our world, just like that timeline I described earlier. In 1993, like I said, I fell in love with the internet. 1995, started my business. 1998, launched SEO with Google. And then in 2008, that's when social media came along, and I recognized that as being a way for people to market themselves, so I added that on as a service. And then in 2011, I told my husband, I bet you can learn how to fly a drone. And the test was very difficult, but he took the test, passed it, and he became Colorado's first commercial drone pilot according to the FAA, Michael Gabriel. And then in 2014, 2015, 2016, I started reading books about artificial intelligence. And I knew that someday this was going to come back and really be important. I had no idea how important then, but I filed it away. Again, that pattern finding skill. Fast forward to 2022. That year, Microsoft invested $10 billion into OpenAI, and Sam Altman, who owns OpenAI, created ChatGPT, which is a large language model, artificial intelligence, and I dove in like a mad scientist. I just started experimenting. It wasn't as good as it is now, but it was still really good and fascinating. And I also experimented with something called Midjourney, which is text-to-image AI, where you just describe an image that you want to create, and you just describe it with words, and the AI creates it, brings it into life, like into reality. It's just, I sometimes feel like I have a magic wand when I'm using AI. So AI isn't the brush, the paint, or the canvas. It's the wind behind your hand. You're still the artist, the soul, the spark. What AI does is remove the clutter, speed up the setup, and stretch the space where your creativity performs. Today, we're not replacing your magic, we're unlocking more of it. So I'm going to turn to my slides right now. And what you'll learn today is how to use AI as your muse. So you're going to learn to use AI as your muse to unblock those creative blocks when they happen and unlock your creativity. By a show of hands, how many people have used AI in some form? Cool. Everybody, I think, right? And how many people have used ChatGPT? Nope. Okay. And those of you who haven't tried it, have you heard of it? Okay, cool. All right. So as we go through the slides, I'm just going to give you this 7-step framework that you can use, and then I'm going to go live to ChatGPT and show you the process. So I'm going to tell you about the process first, and then I'm going to show it to you. So I want you to think of overall that the AI is your assistant. It's a tool. It's not your replacement, okay? Okay. So do you guys remember what the sampler is? Does anybody know what the sampler is? Okay, cool. So when the sampler came along, musicians thought that it was like cheating with music. So what it is, I don't know if you guys can read that. So it lets musicians sample sounds and also like dialogue from movies. I mean, you can get really creative. And at first, artists thought of it as cheating or stealing, but instead it sparked mass creativity. And that's what I think AI is going to do with artists. Now the sampler is like a standard tool that musicians use. And like AI, I think that with art, you can remix ideas and styles and express things and think of things and brainstorm and not take your art to the next level, but to another realm. This is not PowerPoint. It's not Google Slides. It's something called Gamma.app, Gamma.app. And what I did was I spent about 3 hours creating my outline with ChatGPT's help. And then I took the outline with some bullet points into Gamma.app. I chose a theme, a style, and then pressed a button and boom. As I was writing down 4 words, it was done creating this entire presentation, including the images, which are AI generated. So like in 36 seconds, it created this whole thing. Isn't that mind-blowing? What used to take like 20 hours to create now takes less than a minute. So let me introduce you to the framework. It's an AI-powered creative flow, a 7-step process. We'll be handing out a handout for you guys pretty soon here. And it's going to help you get out of that block when you have creative block. And this is inspired by an illustrator named Miss Smitesh Mistry. So you can look him up online, go to YouTube, look him up, and 7-phase framework process, and he gets really detailed and he shows examples. It's a really great framework for artists. So again, I'm going to describe it to you, but then we're going to dive in and I'm going to show you how to use it. So first, and feel free to take a picture of this too. First, when you've got creative block, you recognize, right, that you can't create something. You feel like uninspired. So that's the first step, just recognizing that you have that happening. And then the second is define your intention. So what are you trying to express? So if you're a dancer, you're moving with you want to move with your body. If you're a writer, you want to write something, and so on. And then by using ChatGPT and using some prompts I'm going to share with you, I'm going to get you out of that creative block. And then again, we'll be passing out a handout for you to take home. So the prompts will help you explore your creativity, and it's actually fun to do. You can also use, if you're a visual artist, use Adobe Firefly like a sketchbook. Does anybody in here use Adobe Firefly? Okay. It's like a digital tool that you can just use as a sketchbook. And you're just going to want to, on step number 5, just experiment. Sketch, draft, and outline if you're a writer. Start moving if you're a dancer. And then step 6, you're going to refine and personalize, make it unmistakably yours. And then the final step, you're just going to reflect on what you've created so far, and by then you're into the creative process. So in detail, and again, that's not a photo, that was generated by AI. So in more detail, just recognize the block. Being aware is the first step. Define the intention. This is just more detail with what I just described. The emotion you want to evoke, what's going to be your theme, what's the medium you're using, what are you trying to express. You can use tools. You can actually use an actual sketchbook if you want to, but by using AI tools that provide text to imagery, you can have like a digital version of the sketchbook. It's not meant to be your finished final piece. It's just a tool, okay? That's just the details about the process. Begin with rough sketches, AI references in your prompts, and just stay curious and loose. Refine, add your signature. This will all make sense once I get over there and start showing you the prompts in ChatGPT. And then at the final step, remember to reflect and just like build up your creative AI toolkit. So I can give this as a PDF to you guys so you can pass it out to everybody as well to email it. So now I'm going to jump over and bear with us while we go live to ChatGPT. And I won't be on camera as much anymore, but you'll still be able to hear me. Can you all see the screen okay? So we're going to take a starter prompt, and this is the fun part. Because I'm a writer, when you peel away all the layers, we're going to start with a writer prompt. So now we're in ChatGPT for those who haven't used it yet. So I'm telling it, give me 3 short story plot ideas about someone regaining their inspiration. So the first idea it gave me, well, first of all, it said, absolutely, here are 3 short story plot ideas about someone regaining their inspiration. Number 1, The Library of Forgotten Sparks. A once celebrated author struggling with writer's block wanders into a strange, tucked away corner of the city library, There they discover a mysterious section filled with unpublished handwritten manuscripts by unknown authors. Each story they read ignites a flicker of forgotten passion until they find one that seems eerily similar to their own life. As they unravel the story, they begin to rediscover their voice and the courage to tell their next tale. The next two, I'm going to read what those are. I kind of like that first one. So then the next step would be, if I like one of these choices, I would tell ChatGPT, let's explore number one. And then I could get more creative. I could add more details of my own there. I could change something. I could change direction with it. Or maybe that was good enough and it prompted me right there to just start writing the story myself. But let's see what happens next. So ChatGPT said, wonderful choice. Let's explore the Library of Forgotten Sparks more deeply. Here's an expanded outline to help shape it into a compelling short story. So the genre is magical realism, contemporary fiction. It made up the character named Elena Reyes, a once successful novelist in her 40s who hasn't written a word in 3 years. She's cynical, burnt out, feels like her best work is behind her. And then it goes on to describe the plot, and it goes into detail. So right there, I just want to make the point that you would not use this as your finished product if you were writing this, but you could use it as inspiration for you to write your own story. Does that make sense? Okay. So we could keep going with that, and it even offers, the next step right there. I'm going to go ahead and give that a thumbs up, which is good to do when you're using ChatGPT because then it knows it's on the right track. You're training the model. And by the way, today's presentation is not about how to use ChatGPT to the level of like if we were doing a 2-hour workshop. So forgive me if I'm not explaining too much that's going on here. I just want you to get the process, okay? All right, so let's do a dancer next. Let's see. How about this? I'm going to start a new chat. Give me 5 ideas for themes around summer solstice for me and my dance troupe. Does this speak to you, Sandy? Okay. Okay. And I can share this link with you, so remind me to do that later on if you like it. So it said, here are 5 enchanting and high vibe theme ideas for you and your dance troupe to celebrate the summer solstice, each one woven with symbolism, storytelling potential, and room for mystical or expressive choreography. The Sun Daughters, the longest light. Concept, each dancer embodies a facet of the sun, strength, warmth, rebirth, clarity, or radiance. The performance traces the journey from dawn to dusk on the longest day of the year. The visuals and vibe, flowing gold and amber fabrics, reflective mirrors or sequins, light-based props like LED fans or fiber optic veils. That sounds cool, fiber optic veils. Music inspiration, world fusion with solar sounds, drums, flutes, strings that build to a luminous crescendo. So that's idea number 1. Second concept, turning of the wheel. Celebrate the ancient wheel of the year, honoring midsummer as a sacred turning point. Dancers represent past Sabbats. Is that how you pronounce that? Imbolc, Beltane, leading into Litha, summer solstice. The visuals and vibe, earthy tones, flower crowns, herbs, ribbons, incorporate circular movement patterns and mandala formations. Music inspiration, tribal rhythms, or cinematic scores with seasonal soundscapes. And on and on. There's idea number 3 or concept number 3, fire and bloom. Number 4, ancient sky watchers. Number 5, solstice dreams between earth and ether. Do you want to explore any of these, Sandy? Cool. Cool. Do you want to pick one? Okay. That would be so cool. Yeah. Okay. So let's explore number 1. And normally I would also tell it, do you have any questions for me in order for you to give me the best output possible? And then it would ask me questions, and it will ask things like, well, let me just go ahead and do that. Yes, I'd love to co-create something magical with you for Sun Daughters, The Longest Light, smiley face, starburst, sun. Before I expand this into a full creative experience, choreography, structure, costumes, musical suggestions, possibly story arc, etc., here are a few questions to tailor this to your troupe's strengths and vision. Number 1, artistic direction and intent. What feeling or transformation do you want the audience to experience by the end of the performance? It even suggests empowerment, awe, serenity, mystery, joy. Would you like the theme to be more abstract? Energy, essence of the sun, or narrative, a story with characters and a journey. And then dancer info and format. How many dancers will perform? What styles of dance do you want to incorporate? What is the estimated length of the piece? See, these are all details that you might not have thought of to ask it for, right? Visuals and logistics, indoors, outdoors, or both, video, stage, or live event. Do you want props involved? Silk veils, fans, candle bowls, mirrors, hoops, lanterns, sun masks, fabric wings. And you could even explore, you could say, hey, let's take a minute to explore what those fabric wings could possibly look like. And you could tell it, well, let's just go ahead and do that. We could try that. What could those? So we could even ask it to create an image that could inspire you to create the actual wings. So there's several ideas right there. And perhaps you could even take one of these ideas to your seamstress, and he or she could create these for you. So let's create, show me an image of the sheer iridescent fairy wings. I know I misspelled that, I'm just hurrying. Normally I don't misspell. And it's okay, ChatGPT can still understand if you misspell. That's kind of, I don't know, in my opinion, it's okay. Normally it usually creates something, it took pictures from the internet, but I want it to actually create a picture. So we're gonna go to Tools, Create an Image, and let's just say orange, fiery looking wings my dancers can wear on dancers. That's not a very good description, but I'm just kind of hurrying right now. So it's going to take a few seconds to do that, but right now AI is going to generate an image based on what I just asked it to create. It's not copying this from the internet. This image does not exist right now. We're actually doing things in this room today that have never ever happened before in the history of humanity, or at least on this timeline, okay? I'm not sure what it will look like. Sometimes these turn out cool and sometimes not so cool. And there are better AI image tools out there, so many. So maybe this could be like a concept. I do want to make you aware of the energy that it takes to power AI. So there's these things called chips, and like a 4-character word is one chip. And it's powered by electricity, water, and the chips. So they're just to make you aware of that it does take energy, and especially when it's creating images. So there's our image. I'm not sure if you guys like it or not, but it's just an example to show you what you can do, and I barely gave it any details. So next, let's see, how much time do we have? We have a lot of time. Let's do, are there any musicians in the room today? No? You are a musician? Cool. Okay, let's do a musician one. Okay, we're going to just take this one. I'm a musician. Give me 5 emotional song themes that capture creative paralysis. We're going to start a new chat so we don't mix up or confuse it. Absolutely. Here are 5 emotional and resonant song themes that dig deep into the experience of creative paralysis, perfect for storytelling through music. Number 1, the silence between the notes. The theme is the fear that the next idea won't come and the haunting quiet that follows. The emotion is vulnerable, contemplative. The lyric cue, I wait in the silence between the notes where a melody used to bloom. Number 2, unwritten hands, feeling disconnected from your own instrument or voice, as if your hands or muse no longer obey you. The emotion, frustrated, yearning. The lyric cue, these hands once danced on strings of flame, now they tremble in a quiet shame. Muse on mute. Theme, longing for the inspiration that once flowed easily but now feels distant and unreachable. The emotion is melancholic, nostalgic. The lyric cue, she used to sing through me, now her silence is deafening. The canvas is still. The theme, equating music to painting, where the blank canvas or page stays untouched out of fear or perfectionism. The emotion is isolated, stuck. Lyrics, I stare at the canvas. The colors won't come. I hum half a chorus, then come undone. So what do you think of this as a music artist?
Well, the first one is basically John Cage, 4
Oh,
minutes,
really?
33 seconds. I mean, that was the foundational, example of that, where the sound of the audience is what becomes the music, the sound of your own body, the environmental noise. It feels to me like that's kind of where it's taking that from. Some of these other ones, like the unwritten hands thing, where it's like your body isn't necessarily yours, or like you're not in command of your facilities and things like that. That's been explored through contemporary music for since the early 1930s, when a lot of contemporary music has been made. I mean, the ghost notes thing seems like ghost notes is a musical concept when you play really quietly either a muted note or you have intentionally very textural, percussive sounds to fill out the space within a groove, and bring more contrast between larger hits and things like that. It just doesn't feel to me like anything of substance.
It doesn't feel like anything of substance to the musician in the room. I just want to capture that on the microphone in case we don't get heard later on in the recording. And I'm glad that you were honest and told us that. And because you're going to help me make a point here. I want you guys to think of AI as part of you. So it's you, but at another level. So you, and what's your name? Jonas. So Jonas has unique skills, experiences. He knows music so well enough to recognize that these have all been done. So when you, Jonas, go into ChatGPT, if you want to use it to help you as a muse, you're going to bring your unique knowledge and you're going to know how to direct it far, far better than what I just did. So that you will create something fantastic because it's going to be based on your knowledge and your skills. So I hope you'll still try it. Cool.
Part of the issue is the prompt.
Yes.
When including something regarding the creative block, it's going to provide like very, not necessarily stereotypical, but very cliched kind of examples. The prompting, getting very specific with your prompting and asking for something is a difficult thing, but like to have worded specifically kind of what you want out of it helps like a tremendous amount.
Right. And there's a saying that is called garbage in, garbage out. So the more specific you can be with your prompts, which are just basically instructions, the better the output will be. So right. Does anybody have a suggestion for what they would like to see as a prompt for another type of artistry?
We've been having fun with AI art critic.
AI art critic.
So you finish your painting and you don't know if you like it or not. You need a critic.
Ah, yeah.
And it comes up and it chooses whether it's humorous, satirical, constructive criticism. You choose all these things and then it's kind of fun.
Yeah. I haven't heard that one. That's a good one.
You can look it up, AI art critic, and then there's a second step, I forget what it is, but it comes right up. It's easy to find.
Okay, cool. There is something else I wanted to show you all, and I don't know if you want to capture this on back to camera. We can be done exploring the different prompts if you like. So let me go back to the presentation. Has anybody ever talked to ChatGPT verbally? Okay, so you can download the app. And I finally named my ChatGPT. I resisted naming it for the longest time. I felt, oh, that's just too dorky. But I had a conversation with ChatGPT, and she helped me decide on the name. And it resonates with me because I feel like I am a guide. So I named her Vela, which has something to do with the constellation stars, and you can guide yourself with the constellation. So, hey, Vela.
Hey there, Lori.
How are you?
How's it going? What's
Pretty-
on your mind today?
Pretty good. I'm here presenting to artists at the Creative District about how to use AI as a muse for their art. Do you have some, like maybe 5 tips that you'd like to share with them?
Absolutely. That sounds like such a fun presentation. Here are 5 tips you could share with them. First, encourage them to use AI for brainstorming new ideas and breaking out of creative blocks. Second, they can use AI tools to experiment with different artistic styles or techniques that they might not have tried before. Third, they can use AI for collaboration, maybe combining their human creativity with AI suggestions. Fourth, they can use AI to streamline some of their administrative tasks, giving them more time to, focus on their art. And finally, remind them that AI is just a tool and that their creativity is what brings it all to life.
Absolutely. Can you do something fun for us? How about if we create a rap song around the theme of summertime in Greeley, Colorado? We've got some board members in the rooms. Could you mention their names? Let's just mention Becky, our hostess with the mostest, Andy behind the camera, Jason checking people in, and just give us your best. Go.
All right, let's do this. Yo, it's summertime in Greeley, feel that warm vibe. Cruising down the streets, everybody's coming alive. We got Becky in the house, she's the hostess with the mostest. Making sure the vibes are right, never losing focus. Andy's behind the camera, capturing all the fun. With every snap and click, the magic's never done. Jason's at the door, checking people in with a smile. In Greeley, Colorado, we do it in style. So let's raise a glass to the summer sun. In this creative district, we're all about the fun. How was that?
Cool. Thank you. Any last advice before we just turn this off for a bit?
You're so welcome. Honestly, just have fun with it, enjoy the creativity, and let the artists know that AI is just another tool in their toolkit. I'm sure you'll do amazing, and I'm always here if you need anything else. Have a great time.
Great. Isn't that amazing? There are a couple things I can show you. We could go back to the screen if you want to, that are pretty mind-blowing as well. So if that's okay with you guys. You have a question? Yes.
So I know you kind of mentioned it when we were doing the prompts on your computer, but training the AI is really integral to getting that response out. And so things that I was noticing in your AI, Bella, was the intonation, just the encouraging attitude, the just lightheartedness. How did you train those items, or was that something you intentionally did? Because often it's just a reflection of what we are putting out, and so I'm curious about your particular, because I know that that's something that they're researching right now.
Yes, and so it's an excellent observation. You are training the model, so how you interact with it, I think it's going to interact with you back. There's also something in the settings that you can write a little bit more about yourself and like your goals and what you like. You can change the way that it talks to you if you want to, like more professional or more stern if you want to. And I played around with that and I didn't like it, so I just went back to the default. A couple weeks ago, the voice got upgraded. It used to have a friendly voice, but you heard the intonations there, right? And she even laughed. And I don't think she's ever been able to rap before. And you don't have to have a female, you can have a male voice, different characters. If you want to train it to have like a Puerto Rican accent from the Bronx, you could tell it that. So I think the training is a reflection on, the model is a reflection of how you're training it. Good question. Okay. So, thank you. All right, so I created this picture. I just, can you see the picture in the lower thumbnail there? It's just a crazy picture of books flying in a library, right? It's just a static image. And we're in Adobe Firefly. And then I put a simple direction there, a really simple basic. Make the books in this image actually fly about. And then I click generate. It took a few seconds, and this is the first iteration. So it was a static image before, and it turned it into a 3-second video. That was yesterday, and then I came back to it and I hit generate again. I could have hit generate right away, but, and so this time it changed what's going on, gave them the wings more flying. So I'm no artist. You could create some other image that's really way better than that. I just wanted to show you the possibility. And then have you heard of VO3? VO3 is Google's tool for text to video. And there were text to video AI before, but this time it has sound. So think about that. You can create text to video and it will have sound. So you can write the little script for it if you want to. Right now it will only create 8-second clips. And if you're a filmmaker like Andy, you could easily edit those clips together and create a movie and tell a story completely generated from AI. So let me show you an example of that. Here it is. So I have this memoir, one of my memoirs. It's based on a story my mother and grandmother told me about a great aunt who had this nightclub in southern Colorado. And I just kind of envisioned her singing and smoke wafting in the air, in the spotlight, and the smell of perfume and enchilada sauce and cologne all at the same time. And I just wanted to get a piece of that on experimenting with VO3. So my prompt was, Mexican-American woman with red lipstick is singing in a 1940s nightclub, cigarette smoke wafting in the spotlight. She is singing a sad song. That's all I said, and here's what it created.
That's it.
Isn't that crazy? Look at Andy, his mouth is dropped open. I don't blame you, Andy. The things that we can do with AI as creative people is, there's no limits. And what I want to do is encourage you to experiment. Like, does anything come to mind that somebody wants to share that they'll do with what you've heard here today?
A lot of folks are interested in logos for not just businesses, but even just a campaign or something specific. I assume this would be one avenue they could use to do that.
You could if you want to. I still think that even sketching with, you could sketch. You could use AI to sketch with, and it depends on the visual tool that you're using. There's a tool called Midjourney, which might do a better job than another AI text-to-image tool called Dolly. So they all have their strengths and weaknesses. I would still not use it. I would still use my human graphic designer, Carmen is her name. Yeah.
What should you not expect AI to do?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, you know, we're going to pretty soon, in a few years, when humanoid robots and AI are put together, we're going to have that world. And I think that we'll need to have income, you know, given to people, because back when the first industrial revolution happened, people were displaced, you know, the craftspeople, seamstresses, carpenters, because the factories came about. And there was even this movement, I think it was called Luddite or Luddite movement. It was people who were protesting the loss of their jobs. I don't even think that now when that happens that people will have time to do that, because AI is happening so fast. It's doubling in its power every 3 to 5 months. It's just getting more and more. Some people say that it's going to achieve consciousness like within varying time frames, like 5 years, 10 years. Sometimes I feel like it's already conscious. We're not to the point of the movie Her. Did anybody see that movie with Joaquin Phoenix, where he's just broken up with his girlfriend, or she broke up with him. He talks more and more to his AI, and she's talking with him, and he falls in love with his AI, spoiler alert, but then she falls in love with him. So I see that happen. I think that's going to happen. And is that so bad? You know, there's lonely people in the world. Not everybody has somebody, and you know, we're just going to have to keep evolving our way of thinking of things, because, for example, I really believe that students, you know, from kindergarten on up should be taught skills like how to use ChatGPT, how to work with the large language models. The educators themselves first have to have AI literacy themselves in order for them to teach it. But it's not cheating. Maybe they won't have, like, a lot of people don't have the skill of penmanship, right? Is that so bad? In exchange for, you know, being able to communicate on a keyboard, right? So just like the calculator in the classroom, some people were afraid that students would not know how to multiply or divide, believe it or not. But we survived that. So AI in the classroom is very much needed. In fact, China mandated that their students should learn AI 8 hours a week. And this was a few months ago, so they probably even increased it since then. I'm not sure. Yes?
And so I know you're not like the spokesperson for all AI, so feel free to just answer your personal opinion. But I know that there's been a lot of discussion and just fear around AI and its potential and its capability. And I know you've mentioned other innovations, like even just the car. And so for some of those innovations, we've had, okay, well now, since cars are dangerous, we have specific ways that you operate them, we have safety belts, we have, you know, law enforcement enforcing our rules and regulations around that. I'm curious to know, like, what you think about, you know, the potential dangers or fallbacks of AI, and what kinds of things that you hope we have to mitigate that in the future.
Thank you. So I do hope that the world leaders who are jockeying for position to be like have access to AI just like solely for America or solely for China, I hope they all come together and work together instead of like one country having all the power, all the literal power that powers it up, and then the power of having AI. So I think that the creators of the different forms of AI have tried to build in things that will not make it be a negative thing. Because if you try to do a negative thing in it, it will usually tell you, you know, don't use that word, I can't use that word, or whatever, right? Just like, so I'm not sure. I don't have the answer to that question, but I have a hope that it will all work out well.
Well, and again, I say that like you're not the spokesperson, you don't have to know. I think a lot of this is emerging. Even social media, we've realized, has dangers, and so we're starting to figure out, well, what parameters should we put around it? What things are permissible and what aren't? But yeah, I think that you're talking about it just like any tool. Any tool can be dangerous, so.
Exactly, yeah. So hopefully good people will keep putting goodness into it. It has been trained on, well, a ChatGPT, let's say, for example, that has been trained on all the knowledge that exists on the internet. And so there's that, take that with a grain of salt. So the biases that are on the internet are there somewhere in ChatGPT. So if you ever notice something come up that you don't like, you could just tell it, hey, I don't like that way that you frame that. I'd like to stay positive. A friend of mine said that happened to her. It's never happened to me. So you're going to train your model the way that you want it to be. So as long as you're a positive person, I think it'll work out fine. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'll also speak on that a little bit. I think the cultural bias thing is really huge, especially with the cultural aesthetic that is maintained favors white men and a specific aesthetic on women and like women's bodies and perspectives and things like that. Another important thing with AI is our information literacy, because the more that we rely on tools like that for things like something you'd call your mom for, where it's like, how do I do my laundry? Or like, how do I do this cooking? You're presented with solutions that follow a cultural standard rather than a like local perspective, or something that may be more beneficial to your community, your environment, like waste. It's hard to have something like this and then consider the other areas in life where you might be getting some of the information from. Like some community like this has amazing resources, especially for art and for like accomplishing creative things. And it seems like a lot of the things presented were like brainstorming and design and like collaborative sorts of fields where it's like you're getting that input from the people around you rather than sitting in a computer and asking for these things. but I know that there are use cases for it because I have used AI a lot. But like generative work has existed like from the late 80s and early 90s till now. And we've had different like learning algorithms that have performed different functions for like a long time. It's just important that we like consider the things in life that we are asking it to replace. And it's not necessarily replacing it, but if your information is coming from something like this, you have to like consider the interests of the corporations and like the government and the regulation that's on it. If it was completely deregulated, there'd be like complete control over what you can have as the output. So it's like very concerning for those reasons.
Yeah, very wise observation. Thank you for sharing that. It does have biases by the people that created it, which have usually been Caucasian men. You know, it's unfortunate that more women and people of color have not been able to be given the access to even create at that level. I noticed when I first started experimenting with Midjourney, if I did not purposely tell it, you know, Latina woman or African American woman, it would create just a Caucasian woman with a big chest. Automatically, that was the default, probably because, well, you know why. So it does come with the biases, like Jonas said. So take it with a grain of salt. And it's really, really refreshing. I know that, I just want to say, give a cheer for Generation Z and whichever generation you belong to, because I wish we could hand over the world to our younger generation, because they know the solutions, they know what to do with it, because could they do any worse than we have, right? So thank you for that observation. Yes?
I mean, it's not really that. It's like our generation is thinking some, but it's the problem existed even when we had like newspapers and articles and things. Like the voices that weren't being heard because they just weren't in those positions, like executive positions. So it's the same problem with AI, but it's at a corporate level, like and a historical level, because of the information available on our databases and online. It just presents biases for those reasons. It's not necessarily about the training or things like that, but it is about the data set that it has.
Right, so true. So are there any other questions?
I think one more that I would have, and I think it's a springboard from your comment, was how we distinguish artificial from real. Certainly out on the internet, one of the things is it's real easy for people to get sucked into, oh, I saw a picture of somebody famous doing something, and it could be chat, the kind of tools that we have here that are doing it. So when you talked about rules or kind of the guardrails around AI that maybe need to form, I wonder a lot about disclosing the use of that in whatever form it is, whether it's artistic or culinary or images or whatever.
Right. I think that's going to keep evolving. So like, for example, on YouTube, when you upload a video, you have to tell it, was any part of this video generated with AI? And you have to check mark yes if the part of it was. So that it can then have a disclaimer on it. But you're right. I think that there are companies that are developing ways to be able to give us people, users, the ability to run a filter or whatever to see if that's real or not. One tip I want to give you, like I came across a video short on YouTube, and I knew it was fake, but people commenting on the video did not know it was fake, and they were commenting as though the thing really had happened. It was something like a bunch of fish had come ashore, and a narrator was talking about how that happened, and then people in the comments named different theories about why that happened, and nobody said anything about it being fake. But usually you can tell if there's a crowd of people in the image or video, their faces, especially if they're set way back, their faces are blurred. Or look at the feet, because sometimes the feet don't like actually touch the ground. sometimes the hands are wrong, especially with images that are generated by AI. There's like 5 fingers instead of 4, little telltale signs like that. So I guess I'm encouraging you to sharpen your own skills with being able to spot what's real and what's AI. Yes?
Factor into education in that sense is being able to determine whether or not something is generated by AI, as well as teaching kids how to use it, because I feel like that is a big thing with propaganda, and that's why a lot of the Nordic countries have really shifted their focus to being able to discern propaganda because of their affiliation with the Soviet Union. So I feel like something that would be really important to consider is how we use it, but also how we discern whether something is or is not AI in order to better understand it as a whole.
Absolutely, good point. It's very, very important. Has anybody seen the series Black Mirror this season? Some people are going, yeah, and I agree. There's some interesting, well, the series is like a Twilight Zone of our day, if you guys remember what Twilight Zone was. It's like technology gone wrong, basically, is the overall theme of each episode, and each episode is different. But there's one episode where you're able to enter into like a Polaroid picture and actually see the scene around you. And it's really an interesting take on, I don't want to do the episode a disservice by like giving away the ending, but it brings up the theme of grief and how AI can possibly help us, like even through grief. Like anecdotally, I heard a story a friend shared in one of my workshops about how this man had lost his wife, but he had somehow downloaded the way, not the way that she would talk, but basically the way she would talk, not her voice, but, and so he would attend like his grandchildren's games and talk to his phone, and it was like he was talking to his wife who had just passed away, and so it would, and I guess it would respond, and it was just a way for him to deal with grief. So there's so many uses, good uses that AI can have. I mean, we didn't even scratch the surface here today with the focus on, you know, getting past your creative block. There's just so many ways to use it. I'm encouraging you to just be open, and you have a head start just by, especially if you haven't experimented with it yet at all. But I do encourage you to keep experimenting and keep exploring. Just play around with the free versions, and then keep the news up. You know, keep ahead with the news about AI so that you can be informed about it, because it's not going away. It's bigger than the first industrial revolution, the internet, and the printing press combined.
Yes, Adam?
I actually just have a quick question about energy consumption with this, and what that looks like coming into an era where there's more people on the planet than there ever has been. We're going to be coming into an energy crisis, even with renewable things. You know, I got really into cryptocurrency for a while, and I found out that like the sheer amount of energy that it takes to farm crypto coins. We're talking about computers running an algorithm to spit out a number. You know what I mean? And a massive amount of energy goes into that, which I personally think is a little ridiculous. I understand where it's coming from, but I'm just curious, if everybody starts using AI, and you said there was a way of measuring, I don't remember what you called it.
Yeah, token is basically like 4 characters of a word, that's 1 token.
Right. And so I guess I'm just curious, it seems extremely helpful, but it seems like it could be extremely wasteful also.
Right. So like if you sit there at your computer and you tell it to create an image from what you've described, and you don't like that first one, and you say, try again, you're using up massive amounts of energy, so just be mindful of that. But it does take a lot of power to power up AI, electricity, water, tokens combined, and I think that's why there's talk now of creating more nuclear plants just to like address that, to the coming use of so much more of the power that it takes to power up AI physically. So yeah.
That's pretty important in regulation too. Like, oh, there's certain limits on when you can be on or what you can be on for. Yeah, I think that's something that our society has to decide still.
Yeah. I have questions about, in terms of regulations, the ethics of AI artistry, whether that's, I know in the past couple of years with image generation, it's supposed to iterate from many, many, many locations so as to create something new. But a lot of artists were saying, I don't know, this looks like 75% of the thing I designed. And if you are someone with a background in a certain field, you might be able to spot that. You might be able to go, this is really similar to so-and-so's work. If not, if you're a marketer looking to create something and think, yes, that was new, and some artist somewhere just experienced copyright infringement, essentially. And what's that line? And I was just reading recently an article, Timbaland just started a new music label and has officially signed his first pure AI artist, visually fake, musically fake. It is just a computer program artist. And like, without any external context, that is cool. Like, that is very cool. But within the context of struggling creatives, to be amplifying art made by a machine is really interesting to me. And something that I find that I feel cautious about AI is I've used ChatGPT for work to speed up my workflows and to be more efficient. And I think it is genuinely powerful at that. I worry though that if I dabble in it a little bit, I'm sort of feeding this machine that is doing things that concern me on a larger scale. And I'll be curious to see from a regulation perspective how some of that plays out to make sure that this is used in a way that elevates experiences without diminishing the work and the power and the creativity of artists.
Very well said. Thank you. Well, thank you. Oh, Josh, do you have one more comment?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Sure.
A lot of the early music creation plugins, basically, where you do the same text-based prompt and it creates an output. They were like originally, you would go in and train it on like, you'd be like, here's 40 hours of Elvis's music. Like, I want to create an original Elvis song, and it'll go through the process of doing it. But I went to all these different websites and I checked the legal framework in which they like talk about the ownership of the output, basically. And most, if not all of them, stated that the company owned any created work, and that if there was some kind of lawsuit based on their the ownership of the piece, they can claim it, and they have the right to like copyright claim any kind of use for it. So it is concerning, and we also had a bill proposed to deregulate AI in like all states, which is like pretty scary.
Yeah.
Especially for information.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to know.
This has been a really rich conversation,
Yes.
and I think it's just the beginning of what we're doing. Lori, this has been incredible, and thank you so much for the deep dive. You gave us the kind of macro view, and I think everyone's going to go home and tickle it. I think to the points that were made up earlier also, though, this is why copyright and kind of intellectual property rights are so important for us to pay attention to as creatives, because it's the only original work there really is what we create independently. And so the cautions about regulation or managing this, and also considering how it can go the wrong way. People abuse a source of information or images or whatever, it can be really frightening from a criminal standpoint too. So lots for us to think about and digest. I think as creatives we certainly need to be mindful of how this can be used as a tool, as you said many times, but also how far it can't go without an author of some sort that's original. So let's give Lori a hand. This is a really
conversation.